Hello, folks. My name is Ryan Murphy. Thank you for attending Del Val's virtual back to school night this evening. I teach AP Computer Science principles, and I'd like to give you some idea of how the class functions here at Del Val. Ideally, by the end of tonight, I would like if you had a further understanding of the course content, how students are graded, what to expect with the AP test, and then, if nothing else, a little bit about myself. So to start off with some idea of who your students are spending time with for several hours every week. Like I said, my name is Mr. Murphy. I can be reached at ryanmurphy@dvrhs.org. Every teacher's email address is always first name, last name at dvrhs.org. Some background about me prior to my time at Del Val. I am a proud 2013 graduate of Rutgers Graduate School of Education. I feel like I learned a lot from there. And as I said, I am a proud alumnus. I also very recently, speaking of pride, I'm proud to say that I very recently finished my supervisor certification through Rowan's program, from which I, again, learned very much, and I'm happy to have finished it. Here at Del Val, though I do teach computer science principles, obviously, I'm also a math teacher. I teach honors geometry, AP statistics, and this year as well, academic algebra 2. So there's a good chance that I've had your student for something else, or I might in the future. It's possible that I will have had your student 3 times if they are fortunate enough. Outside of academics, I'm also the co-advisor for Del Val Sport and Spirit Club, which is a club where students would attend athletic events, if not as an athlete, then as a helper who helps things run more smoothly, like being a ball runner or announcer, scorekeeper. We also have fundraisers, some of which are through Alex's Lemonade Stand, which is collects money for cancer research, or perhaps we sell merchandise too. Aside from that, I'm also an SAT prep instructor over the summer doing math SATs. In my free time, when I'm not being Mr. Murphy, I am an owner of these 2 lovely pups, Benji and Oliver. And with my free time, I like to focus on fitness, and I play the drums, as you can see there, and also gaming, should free time allow it. So this course, it is an AP course, which means that it will be much more rigorous than a standard elective, but still very totally doable. In the years that I've been teaching this course, students find it very rewarding. They've even said it sometimes is frustrating to be working on a code and fail 50 times before they eventually succeed, but there's nothing quite as satisfying as it, because it is a very unique experience. It is a very unique project-based course with a lot more applicability than a lot of other topics. Unlike a lot of other courses or a lot of other subjects that you would typically expect to see in high school, computer science is one that you can make a hobby out of, and sometimes a very lucrative hobby at that. So it's very interesting. And it is the only AP course offered to freshmen. So not to scare anyone, I just did want to give that preface that students should know what they're getting into. But again, I've never met one who wasn't happy to be getting into it and proud of what they accomplished by the end. The platform that we use is something called Project STEM. We don't do this through Del Val. We have kind of a syllabus that we've borrowed from this program, this company, Project STEM. It has served us so well in the past because of the way it is structured, especially with the pandemic being what it is. It allows students to really work at their own pace and be creative and have very unique resources. And I figured it'd be better if I were to show you this than tell you this. But before I do, the way that Project STEM works is that it's exploratory. It often poses questions to them that would have them scouring the internet, or give them maybe some segments of code and have them look at it moving forward. And do things to it, like edit code, or give them unique challenges or ideas that they could work with. As I said, it is self-paced, though we do keep to somewhat of a structure. That way everyone's at the same, more or less on the same page at the same time, and that they do end the course with all the requisite knowledge for the AP test. That being said, the content is indeed based on those AP standards, as well as, and Project STEM is very good about integrating contemporary issues and having some practical applications, which again, I'd love to show you. First, as far as the course is concerned, this is College Board's, they're the AP people, College Board's course and exam description for this. Oh no, I didn't mean for that to happen, my apologies. It is a thick 260 pages. I'm sorry that I did this, but just to give some idea of what you could see in the course, it is more than just coding, which a lot of students go in expecting to do straight away and not much of anything else. But it is so much more than that. I'm not going to go through all of these pages, but I wanted to very quickly demonstrate There is the notion of creative development, which is not even just problem solving, but problem identifying and recognizing when perhaps code would be useful for automizing something, or stopping tedium, or uh, allowing for loops to maybe take place and do something a little more productively, and maybe solve a problem that they didn't know existed, or maybe optimize something. There's the notion of data. What's really going on in the hardware of a machine? What are the ones and zeros that our programs are abstracting, and how is us writing code communicating with a program at a very base level with binary? And we talk about what binary is as far as the mechanics of like the opening and shutting of the circuitry of a computer. There is the notion of algorithms in programming. So we do teach algorithmic thinking in this class. It is program ambivalent, which is to say that the AP test won't be on, say, Java or Python. We kind of let students, they're able to submit their final AP scored content in any program that they wish. But since we do have to pick one for the sake of focusing on a thing and developing skills with it, Project STEM, and the one that we use here at Del Val, uses first Scratch, which is block-based coding. It's very visual, and it's good for developing that algorithmic thinking before we move on to something that's text-based. Something text-based, something that's actually used in the industry, Python. So if students have had any experience with these before, that is fantastic. They're absolutely going to expand their repertoire of skills and knowledge. And if not, that's actually okay. This is a course that's meant for beginning programmers and beginning computer scientists. So they're not in a bad position. They can go from 0 to 100 pretty quickly in the class if they're willing to commit the time to it. But like I said, this is something that students are more than happy to adopt as a hobby, not just something that's required for their grade. Like I said, this class is more than coding. There's also the notion of computer systems and networks. So for example, when you're looking at a URL like apcentral.collegeboard.org, we might talk about what each of these dots represents, like subdomains. Where's the www, for example? Like, how are we communicating with this website? How is data sent via packets? And like, how is it sent securely? So we talk about cybersecurity, all of these things that are important parts of computer science as well. And then there's the notion of impact of computing. The fact that, for example, we now have something that we didn't have 20 years ago, which is in the palm of our hands, access to several thousand libraries of Alexandria at any given moment. So we talk about how aggregate data allows us to paint a statistical picture that wasn't previously there, and what knowledge we can gain from this, as well as how the haves and have-nots in terms of technology can really impact the access that people have to sources of truth and wisdom and knowledge in the world. That's the notion of big data, so to speak. So aside from coding, there also are these elements of it, which are, I think, very important things, not just for computer scientists, but for any individual growing up in this digital age that we have. I guess I'll just plainly say, rather than find it somewhere in here, but the AP course, or the AP exam, students' AP scores are going to be based on two things. One is a multiple choice exam, which is going to be very standard 40 questions. And then the other component is a create task, which is them coding and then writing up a description of what their code does. And it's just them making a project. And it could be anything from something applicable to something like a game. So here's an example of something that a student did in the past. A graduated student named Dylan Turner, who is a fantastic student. His project was Ultimate Tic-Tac-Toe, and he did it in Scratch, which is a product of MIT, as you can see via the URL. Ultimate Tic-Tac-Toe, sorry, is a little more complicated in that it requires you to, each of the, I don't want to explain the rules and waste too much time, but each button you press would send you to a different location, and the main goal is to get 3 in a row completed boards. So he made the interface for this, and he made the interactions. And if we were to take a look inside at his code, if my computer were to stop being slow, here's a lot of the block-based stuff that he accomplished that's going on behind the scenes, that's abstracted by the interface. Whoops, I'm screwing up his code here. He's got a lot going on my computer. I apologize, it's being a little bit slow. But we get to look at the inner mechanics and code these things ourselves, which is very neat. One of the more practical applications that I'd like to show you in just a moment is, for example, a filter project that one of my students made last year, an image filter project. So we learned about how to alter audio and alter images via actually adjusting the RGB components of their pixels, which is very neat. The audio equivalent of that would be interesting for those interested in, being an audio tech in the future, things of that nature. If I could find one more thing. Oh, also in terms of algorithmic thinking and problem solving, for example, we do a project generator project, or sorry, a password generator project, which is very interesting. It deals with the real world situation, the fact that any given person probably has 20 or so things to log into in terms of their bills or online banking, or their email or whatever. And if we were to lose access, or if one of our passwords were to be exposed, if we use the same password for everything, then our entire online identity is compromised. So what do? We can build an algorithm that'll generate a unique password per given thing that we have, in order to kind of help secure our online identities. So one way of doing this is this: what the student did is they made a flow chart and eventually coded the project for a Caesar cipher, which is to say that a Caesar cipher for shifting two, which is to say that A would become C, B would become D. We just shift 2 letters to the right in the alphabet. And then what they decided to do is add 789 to the end of the password, which is to say that if someone cracks my Gmail account code, for example, they might not know that I'm using a Caesar cipher shift, and the password might look like nonsense to them. And this would protect the rest of my accounts on anything else that I might have. And it makes it easy to memorize because you're not memorizing a password, so to speak. You're memorizing an algorithm or just remembering that you use it. And it is incredibly useful. I use not necessarily a Caesar shift, but I use something like a password generating algorithm too. Here is a glimpse into Project STEM's interface. It is its own canvas. This is just some random lesson that I clicked upon involving exploring data and data analysis. This is from the latter half of the course where we explore aggregate data and see how perhaps we can use it to draw some conclusions. Students would be submitting this. I would be looking at it myself and grading it and providing feedback. And I really do just love the Project STEM platform, and every student that I've talked to seems to like it as well. At the risk of going too long, I think I've hit all the important things. So I would like to finally give you an idea of our resources. I do still put grades in PowerSchool, despite the fact that they're on the Project STEM canvas. There's the Del Val canvas where I plan my lessons, or I leave my lesson plans for the given week. And as far as availability, I am free both second periods on A and B days, as well as unit lunch for students to come at me if they were to seek aid for anything. So I want to thank you for your time tonight. I apologize for going rather long. There's kind of a lot to say. I hope you found this to be informative, and I also hope that if you have any questions or concerns that you feel free to reach out again at ryanmurphy@dvrhs.org. So once again, thank you for your time this evening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your night.